All right, hey everybody, TG here. So let's see, it is 8:30 Pacific time. Got everybody up and running on the social medias. So we got YouTube, Facebook, X, all those things. And we should also be in the Moxie room. So as long as we get a thumbs up there, we should be good. And then hopefully everything is working well over on the social medias for you guys out there as well. Looks like we finally got the market to roll over just a little bit from this top. Could have taken a call credit spread. I might have just missed that. I was out walking the dog, eating breakfast, and then getting ready for this setup. But what we did take is we took a call debit spread this morning, meaning that we wanted the market to move up, and it did. So this is where we bought the call debit spread at about $6 and change, and then we sold it out here for about $12 and change, which I think averaged about 80%, about 80% gain on that. So kind of the same profit that we would have looked at if we did a put credit spread, which is also another thing that we were looking at this morning. So there were kind of a couple of different ways to skin the cat as far as this morning move. It wasn't the biggest of moves, but it was pretty quick. I mean, this we made 80% in 30 minutes. So yeah, not too bad. That was pretty nice. And let's take a look at the market and see what that actually looked like for those of you out there on the interwebs. So coming over here to the SPX, I was getting the idea that this was likely where price was going to continue to move up a little bit. I figured the market had been down for four days and quite stretched. And then yesterday we kind of saw a reversal that seemed to have held. And I figured today we're going to probably get a little bit of follow through, and we got that. Those of you in the Moxie room, you can now see what we were talking about, the rollover. Remember I was saying, hey, that so far, yes, price was holding the 2-minute 21, but I said this is getting pretty stretched and not looking very strong. And I'm not sure how much further it's going to go. You can see it did just barely try to make a break over to new highs. Couldn't quite do it. Looks like it stalled out about 60.10 and then rolled over. So that was the other thing of where we were saying that if you guys wanted to, with the idea that price is most likely going to come back to about 6,000, you could just kind of start putting on a call credit spread in here. And even if it moves up, take a little bit of heat with the idea that this ultimately was going to come back to about 6,000. So yeah, that looks like that's happening for now. So those of you on the interwebs, what we were looking at to kind of get this was we were looking, number one, at Spot Gamma and then GeckSpot, which are two different services that we work with in order to help tell us about where Gamma and Gamma exposure is. They oftentimes, that kind of based on options, like what kind of option exposure you have, it tells you kind of where price is likely to go. And today that was pretty accurate. So our first target was about 6,000. We went to about 6,005, and that's where we sold our call debit spread. But yeah, we got in right around here, and you can see that lasted about 30 minutes. So 80% in 30 minutes. Yesterday we did a put credit spread, and we made 80% in 60 minutes. So not too shabby over the last couple of days as far as little trades, little wins, little moves like this in the day trading stuff, since the market is tumultuous, to say the least. So let's see where that kind of goes for the day. Remember, we do have NVIDIA as far as earnings play, and we need to be careful about that. I think a lot of eyes are on NVIDIA, especially after the DeepSeek thing, especially after the market kind of getting crunched since last week. Growth got hit compared to value. And so, as I said, I've had a couple spots where I've been couple internet radio spots, interviews, and of course everyone wanted to know about NVIDIA. And I said, in my eyes, NVIDIA is no longer bullish. Now, I can't say it's necessarily bearish, but I wouldn't be trading it to the long side. I don't see any kind of setup. The only thing that I had said was that after the DeepSeek thing, I said, at some point, this is looking pretty stretched to the downside. There's likely to be a bounce. If you want to go long on NVIDIA, consider it a short-term trade. And that's basically what that was. And you can see here we had a pretty sharp pullback. So that's why I was saying it's not a long-term long yet. I don't see anything that tells me that. I just said that there was probably going to be a technical bounce. And so far, that's what that was. Now we have earnings after the close today. I really don't have anything to say about that. Anything can happen on earnings. Earnings are kind of crazy. If you look at One thing, here's Cart. This is a name that we traded. We actually traded this multiple times, and we did great. We did great on every single iteration that we traded on this thing. I think the original one that we traded was something around here, all the way. Gosh, where did we do it? I think just before earnings, traded about, I think it was about 40% that we got with that one. And then we started to add back into it around here after earnings in the $41 range. And then so let's see, about $41, $42, and we sold it about here. So we got about 18, 20% out of that one, which was pretty cool. It did go up a little bit higher, but again, I don't really like earnings, and this is why. So also the market just rolled over. We all know that. I'm sure we've certainly felt the market move over the way it did, but it looks like it kind of got those wheels greased a little bit extra to the downside with earnings. So here's a stock that looked great going up, and then it got pushed down on earnings. But then you also have something like Perch, which went basically straight down because of the market and into earnings, and then they totally reversed it. So this is why earnings are just go get your lucky Vegas dice out there and go roll them, because who knows what's going to be happening with earnings. Even AUR, I'll show you another one. As far as another one that we watch, this is another name where for about a day or two leading up into earnings, they rolled this thing over and sent it back down, only to have this thing absolutely surge on earnings. U was another one that did that thing. So yeah, anything kind of goes when it comes to earnings. And a lot of times you don't know if it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news. In Reddit's case, I would almost say it's buy the rumor, sell the news, because I think that all the good things were already factored in. The fact that even if it did have good numbers, even if they had good future reporting or guidance, the fact that this thing already went that much on the last earnings, and then they ran it up into the next earnings, I consider this to be basically they got everything they wanted. The numbers probably came out wherever they wanted, and they're like, great, yep, sounds perfect. So let's sell it. We got what we wanted, and let's get out of it. Because after something like Reddit, like this, goes up, I mean, we entered it down here, it went up 290%. It's kind of due for a pullback, isn't it? So we traded it from here. I think we got 180% is where we got it. I tried doing another one. I got shaken out of that. That would have been fun, because that would have been another, we probably would have got out just before earnings. That could have been another 20% on that one. But as I said, we kind of got shaken out of that one. So no big deal. But yeah, we kind of need to be careful with this market. We obviously know that it's been coming down. Growth has really gotten hit. If you look at the IWM, the daily 50 proved to be resistance. So this was a thing I was trying to watch and see what's going to happen. Now, as I said, we have been going back and forth. We've got a very lively chat room in the Moxie room, and a lot of people have their opinions, and that's true. I have my opinions, and we don't know yet if this market is actually done or if it's just done right now. I would like to think that this market still has bullishness in it, and that we can continue to go higher, but obviously we just couldn't go higher right now. Gosh, I mean, I don't know if I can even call it the tariffs or some of the other stuff that's going on out there, because the market bounced after all those things. After DeepSeek, after tariffs, after CPI, the market went up after all those things. But then finally, something overpowered it. Market just said, ugh, I'm tired. I can't go up right now. Maybe everybody's already longed up, and they finally had to bring it back down. And so I want to say that I think there's still some good energy underneath, but we had to kind of refresh. Everyone ran the marathon, they got beaten up, and they just finally said, I'm throwing in the towel right now. And so we got this down move, and you can see that was the down move that we got starting last week. And the interesting thing that I'm looking at is we are perfectly right here at a double bottom. So this is why, for now, the daily 50 is resistance, and I'm interested to see what happens at this double bottom. We are at a very precarious spot, because I would expect a bounce, but what happens if the double bottom fails? And then that could be the end of the move. And yes, we do go down, and growth is over, and the market's in turmoil, and we got all these issues. But perhaps we start to actually find some support in through here, and maybe we can kind of start working our way back to the upside. We are, again, very, very close to being at an issue. We're at the weekly 50. kind of need that to hold is where I'm looking at. And we are impinging upon the monthly 10, which is also problematic. So I'm very much on the fence of if this is all going to work or not work. I do still see some names that are decent, but we need to get through this whole pullback. That's kind of the whole thing, is that this market then said, if I'm not ready to go up, we're going down, and we just have to be patient while the market sorts itself out and gives us a little bit better answer as far as that goes. Other than that, Perch was interesting. Upwork continues to look interesting. There are a lot of interesting stuff that is doing well out there. But for now, we just kind of hold off on stuff. I've been switching back to day trading. Again, we made 80% today. We made 80% yesterday. We'll see what happens after NVIDIA. And then we'll see if we can kind of get a bounce to the upside and then go from there. So at the other side of things, we were kind of talking about Tesla. And, Tesla might be a little bit challenging because it is wrapped up in politics now, since Elon is pretty involved with the administration. Of course, it would be great to see if this thing was able to hold something like the weekly 8 or the weekly 21. But the fact that it's coming down, I don't know if this is entirely trashed. Okay. Again, people can have their opinions. Think about what you will about Elon, but Tesla is a little bit more than a car company. They're robotics. They're also a little bit tied in with SpaceX and just kind of the whole Elon thing, which again could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing right now based on politics. But if we look at the charts, I see this, and let me maybe just clean this up a little bit. See which one can I pick. I see this as just a, let's kind of clear that out. There we go, my slow think or swim. That this was just a really, really big move to the upside, kind of like what we've seen in the past. And I know this was the top, but the idea of what I'm trying to show you guys is that when you get really big moves and they go straight up, they outrun support. Like there's a giant air pocket. I mean, you could just see the giant air pocket here. Same thing you can see here, same thing you can see here, and same thing you can see here. Even to the downside, you get air pockets that then cause price to then turn the other direction. Even right there. I mean, look at all those air pockets and look how often price then comes back to the moving average. This is just some of those things that I point out to the Moxie subscribers and traders and all this that say, price doesn't like to be too far away from moving averages for too long. It's just all relative. And so the fact that price is really just coming down to the monthly 10, I don't see this as bad yet. Hey, maybe Tesla never comes back. Maybe Tesla rolls over. Maybe Tesla starts heading to $100. I don't know. But until I see that, I'm going to look at this and basically just say, this is a reversion to the mean. And that's something that I'm interested in. And so I want to just give it some time, see where this thing goes. We'll keep watching things like the daily chart or the hourly chart to figure out exactly when this is going to turn, because that's how we work. We can see that. And then we just have to be patient with it. So it's going to be very interesting to just watch and see where we all go with this. Let's see, DXYZ. This is the SpaceX ETF, essentially. It is a ETF of supposed to be 100 different stocks. I don't know if they have all 100 in there yet, but SpaceX is something like 35% of this. So just call it kind of the SpaceX stock. Same kind of deal. Is it over with? I'm not sure. It clearly got overbought. We know that much. Look at that gap between price and the moving average. And now here we are back down to some moving averages and maybe even back down to that level. And so I don't know yet. But now is not the time to be long on these things. That's fine. We step aside and we just wait for more clarity. In fact, you can see that these things have been coming down for quite some time. That's okay. There has been zero trade. The only time that I looked for a trade was right in through here. And when that didn't set up, because you can see clearly right there that price got rejected by the moving averages, we just moved on. There's just nothing here. I made a little mark right here at the daily 50, wanted to see if it held. There was no setup. And so we just step aside. And then we just continue to wait and be patient on these kind of things. So that's it's DXYZ. We've got some of the, how about speaking of rockets and Rocket Lab is RKLB. These kind of things. They go up like rockets and they fall like rocks. That is something that a mentor of mine would always say about growth stocks and things like this. They're fantastic on the way up. But man, when things change or they run out of steam, you got to just step aside, because that's what everyone else does. They're like, oop, that's done, I'm out. And then they will fall like rocks. But if you look at this, just amazing, huge move. And I think for now, just everything got a little overdone. this is also part of why I have a hard time thinking that the market is totally over and done and we're going to implode and all these names are going to start working their way back down to $2. Of course, anything's possible, but I think with this much energy and this much movement, without being 2020, because that was kind of a particular situation, interest rates are still down. There is some uncertainty about if they're going to keep going lower or maybe they're going to raise them again. Who knows? But they have backed off a little bit. So I'm still thinking that we are in a decent environment for growth, just not right now. And so we need to let these things come down. I mean, the fact that they are coming down and we are in cash is a good thing. That means we can just perfectly wait, sit on the sidelines, wait for everything to firm up, and then give us good signals again, because now is not the time. In fact, we did. I was trying to catch the last little, upside move on these things. We did get in right there when it looked like it was going to pop up. We got stopped out right there, and I'm glad I didn't get into it again because it did try. You can see there's another little pop up right there, and I'm glad we didn't get into it because it never set up, it never followed through. Notice how the Moxie indicator was below zero. Notice how price then did a bear flag and got rejected by the underside of a downtrending hourly 50. And so I said, I don't think this is the right one. And sure enough, boom, went straight down. And that's totally okay. It has earnings coming up. Let's let all of this stuff go. Let these things come back down. Let them get repriced. That means that if this goes up again, if this market does decide to go long again, we will be able to get back into these things at better prices in better ways. And then we can have good opportunities all over again. I'm even thinking about rum along this thing. Same thing. These were some really big moves that things were going pretty crazy at the time. I didn't take this trade officially, but we had been talking about it. And then I guess there was news that they got $740 million of investment. I forget who from, but that was the thing that really spiked that one. And sure enough, look, no setup. Notice the Moxie indicator here on the hourly chart continued to be below zero, never went positive, no trigger. And notice how it continued to fail support at the hourly 50s, even right there. Failed the hourly 50 and now it's failing the daily 50. Totally fine. If the market is not ready to go up right now, there's no sense arguing it. As I said, we went to cash and now we are just totally free to just sit back and wait and watch for these things to set up again, if or when they set up. And then we have a lot of dry powder in order to jump back on this train whenever it gets ready again. And if it never does, hey, no big deal. We continue sitting in cash. We make our 80% here, 80% there, maybe a couple 100% when the market really moves on some of these day trades. And it's keeping us busy in between. This is part of why, actually, this is exactly why that I taught myself how to day trade 0 DTE on SPX, is because up until 6 months ago, the small caps just weren't doing anything. The FANG stocks and all that kind of stuff were good. But for me, I like the small caps. And so the bulk of what I like to do as far as trading just wasn't happening. And so I was like, man, I got to figure out something else to do. So I taught myself how to day trade with the SPX stuff, and it's worked out well. As I said, 80% today, 80% yesterday. It keeps us busy. It gives us a little cash, little milk money or something like that. So that's kind of where I'm at, giving you guys a good update out there. For those of you on YouTube, Facebook, and X, I do want to let you know, I know it's a little ways away, but April 5th, it's a Saturday, is when I'm going to be teaching the next big Moxie class. So we've taught some 0 DT stuff. It's going to be kind of rolled in there at the end, but it has been about 4 years since I've done just kind of like an original Moxie class. Here's how the Moxie indicator works. Here's how you get to use it, train on it, build it, all that kind of stuff, and trade with it. So kind of start looking for some stuff. I'm going to start working on some webinars. I'm going to build the class. And it's going to be based on all these good current examples because we had a really, really good time when all these things were doing well. And the Moxie indicator loves this kind of stuff. The trading that I do with that is just excels with it. So, keep looking for some announcements and some words from that. And then other than that, we have, great. Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, you like the Moxie indicator. So, as I said, there will be more stuff coming out around it. Remember that we have NVIDIA earnings coming out after the close today. We'll see how that responds or how the market responds with that. I am looking for more upside. I'm going to be cautious with that. I do think we're going to go up a little bit further, That doesn't mean we're going to go up from here. Of course, anything happen, but I'm actually wondering if we're going to pull back a little bit and then maybe we move up a little bit. And again, I'm only taking this one step at a time. I am not saying that this is now the market's figured out, we're going to go higher. I'm saying that I think we have more upside to go before maybe we roll over a little bit further or we chop. But I think that's kind of the next deal. So let's let the NVIDIA earnings happen. See if we get some shock to the downside. Who knows? And then maybe we actually get a move to the upside. That's my loose game plan right now. Nikki, no, that is not exclusive to the trading room. That is exactly the whole reason why I talked to the team and said, hey, I think it's about time to redo the Moxie class, because it's been 4 years. I mean, it has been 4 years since the original Moxie class that I taught. Like when I got to Simpler, I'm now in my 6th year with Simpler, and I said, hey, let's update this thing. We've been through a bear market. We've been through all of these small caps just not performing, hibernating, not doing much. And then finally, we start getting these things working out. We've got a lot of examples to work with the FANG stocks because they've been doing well. There's just so much information that I can work with and update. And, I'm now 4 years smarter than I was before. And all these little things that I've added now that I've been at Simpler for 6 years and kind of been rubbing shoulders with bigger professional traders and learned a lot, and day trading, all this kind of stuff with options. So that's why I thought it's a good time to update the Moxie class. Let's get it out there. You guys can come in. It's going to be open to anybody. Yes, it's going to be paid, but that's the whole thing. We're going to show you soup to nuts, Moxie indicator, how to learn it, how I trade with it, and how it got me to where I am now. Hey, Noel's fantastic. Well, you're over in the YouTube room, so we need to see you over in the Moxie room. So if you guys are interested, we're going to be having some specials too. Of course, anytime we do a class or something like this, we always give some good discounts. So come on in. Maybe what you can do is we have a $7 trial that'll get you into the Moxie room for 30 days. And that'll bring you basically to when we are starting to sell the Moxie indicator class. And then you can roll that into some good discounts for the Moxie room. That'd be great. Oh, no. Okay. So you're in the Moxie room, but you're also here on YouTube. Amazing. I feel like I'm seeing double or something. But that's great. I love to hear it. Thanks for being out there and commenting. It's always fun, because otherwise sometimes it feels like we're talking to a little bit of a black hole being on this side of the mic. But I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Always say hi. I was just at the Las Vegas Money Show last week, Monday through Wednesday. That was awesome. I really was able to fill the room. The Money Show that said it was their largest attendance since COVID, basically. So glad to see the people are back coming out there. We had a lot of people come into my presentation, asking questions. It just is really great to be able to give this stuff back, because trust me, I was on your side too. I started from nothing. My dad started taking me around to stock trading seminars when I was 12. I didn't know any of this stuff, and I had to spend years learning it. It's a profession, And really, I think what we're trying to do here is shortcut. Basically, we're trying to say, here's everything that I know, and I'm going to try and teach it to you. And we'll see how well that resonates with you and what sticks. And I don't know everything, and my system may not work perfectly for you, but that's how we learn, is that we take little bits and pieces from everything that we come across, and then we make it our own. And that's kind of how I figured my stuff out too. Yeah, Nikki, great. I'm glad to see you guys are happy about that too. Herman, let's see, is SPX continue to bull flag into 620? I'm not so sure about that. It's kind of looking like 6,000 might be the area. I don't know if 60.20 is going to be it. I could be wrong, but this seems reasonable. For those of you in the Moxie room, do you guys remember this first thing this morning? I said, where are we going to go? Probably to the arch of the foot on the hourly chart. And we're right there. I said we could overshoot a little bit, but look, we were right there, just like how we were there on the 15-minute on the last 2 days. Do you guys see that? And, Nikki or anybody else out there on those social medias, I see we've got a lot of eyeballs actually on there. I can see how many eyeballs are here. This is the stuff. Like this is how I show and teach and do everything. And, I have all these things that are consistent, and I have descriptions about them so that we can all speak the same language. And that is where this morning I said, hey, where are we going to go? We're probably going to go right there. And I got my reasons for it, because it did it there and it did it there. And I said, it's all fractal. These things that I teach exist on every time frame. So this is how I'm able to day trade, because I took all the stuff that I know from swing trading with the Moxie indicator and I just applied it to day trade. It's the same stuff, just different time frames. So yeah, that's why I was looking at the 15. We figured out some resistance, and I looked at the hourly, and I was like, that looks like that's probably going to be resistance. Plus, we can factor in some other tools, and we can use Gamma, Spot Gamma, and GetSpot.com and stuff like that to kind of give us some fun Gamma type stuff. That's a new thing to be working with since zero DTs being such a big stuff. Could I say, let's see, what do the internals look like? Yeah, you kind of see here, the ticks have been kind of working down. In fact, they're looking a little bit red right there, since it looks like the market's probably topping out at this spot. So yeah, and you can kind of see advanced decline topped out. So yeah, that's what I would say as far as the internals. As far as what the internals looked like before taking the call debit spread, look, yeah, very positive, very positive. All that was positive, and ticks were positive. So yeah, that's why I looked at that and I was like, internals are positive. Things are looking good. We should be moving up. So we took a bullish trade. Let's see, Herman, which time frame are you asking? Except the 8 is above the 21, which is above your 50. You must be talking about the 15. That's a different scenario. Okay, that's a different thing that we're looking for compared to here and here and even here. But Herman, I got to get going. I'm going to be with you guys back in the Central Room and the Moxie Room, gosh, in about 2 hours. So hold that question. I'm going to be in the chat room with you guys. I'd love to explain it a little bit further, and then we can kind of go from there and keep answering your questions because I'm here for you. So let's just do that in a couple hours. Okay, see you guys then.